Everyone, it is Thursday, May 11th. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Caitlin Heck here with Wanya Reese and meteorologist Alex Forbes.
I mean, just walking out the door this morning, you all, it's already very warm. I mean, we walked out the door around 3 a.m. this morning, so I can only imagine what it feels now at 6:31.
Right, and the humidity, that's what you just notice as you step outside. Looking live from the Georgia National Fairgrounds this morning, we are looking at overcast conditions down there. We saw a handful of showers through the overnight hours, maybe one or two in Houston County, but those have since faded away. This morning, we're looking at temperatures in the 60s, 67 in Macon, 66 in Warner Robins, 68 in Cochrane this morning, 66 in Milledgeville, 63 in Sandersville, and 69 in Rochelle. So we've all fallen below the 70-degree mark now. The radar picture is quiet, but again, through the overnight hours, we saw one or two showers work their way into Taylor, Macon County, Houston, Peach, over towards Crawford County. That was part of a larger storm that was back in between Butler and Columbus. It didn't quite make it to Taylor County, but nonetheless, an active overnight hours areas to the north and to the west through the course of the day ahead. I think that's where we're going to see the showers and storms once again today. So warming up through the 70s into the 80s by the 1 p.m. hour to a high temperature right around 88. Storms again to the south and west, a similar to setup to what we saw yesterday with sunrise here in the next few minutes at about 6:39. Your Mother's Day weekend is going to be a warm one and a humid one. A closer look at this forecast and what to expect into next week in just a moment.
Thank you, Alex. Right now, commuters in Warner Robins need to take detours after a train smashed into a truck on the tracks near Watson Boulevard and 247.
Our morning reporter TJ Anthony joins us live outside the base where the crash happened. TJ, when we talked to you at 6 a.m., it looked like traffic was really light. So how are things moving right now?
Yeah, the pace of traffic is still pretty light. You know, the only thing drivers really have to do is just avoid this crossing right here behind me. So drivers are going around the crossing and going and taking a left and just going down the street if they need to. It's really not impacting traffic that much. You know, just at the top of the 6 a.m. half hour, we did see a train actually still go through here. So be wary of trains still passing through here, even though, you know, there's still debris that's knocked down on the ground, and even metal poles and stuff are on the ground as well. Now, here are some alternate routes that you should know about if you are traveling along this area in this road. So the closest crossings to Watson Boulevard are Green Street to the north, and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is the closest to the south. Now, whichever route that you take, you'll want to get comfortable with it. Warner Robins police say they don't expect this area to for about another week open on Tuesday, May 16th. That's because Norfolk Southern says they need to wait on a whole new crossing arm. Just look at this video right here and you'll see exactly why. A Norfolk Southern train slammed into a flatbed truck stuck on the tracks. Warner Robins police say the crossing arm came down between the cab and the car it was hauling. Luckily, no one was hurt though. The man in the truck did get out before the train plowed into his car. Now, crews spent hours just hauling off equipment and debris, but they were not able to get the crossing operational for this morning. Again, this area will not be open until next Tuesday. Live in Warner Robins, TJ Anthony, 13 WMAZ News. Back to you.
Well, thank you so much, TJ, for that report. So this morning, barriers are blocking the crossings. You just saw them there, and they do have those detour signs posted, Caitlin, to show you where you can go to go ahead and avoid that crossing there.
Yeah, really just avoid the area if you can. Now, if you remember, the same area was closed last year because of a train derailment. It closed Watson for several days, and cleanup took several months.
A business owner says a weight has been lifted off of his shoulders. Last week, the Warner Robins Police Department cleared New Generation Health Services after a complaint that their staff failed to report injuries to a client. A police spokesman said the complaint was unfounded. Now, the facility serves adults with developmental disabilities. The owner says the complaint put the business in a bad light and it hurt staff morale. He says all employees take their jobs seriously, treating every client like their own. They work hard to create a fun experience while teaching life skills in a safe environment. He says they do things like daily bruise checks and safety trainings. A manager that we got a chance to speak with says they will continue to do their jobs with pride.
We will continue to take care of the individuals that has been entrusted in our care. And we will continue to do it with all the joy in the world. And we will continue to do it with all the love that we have in our hearts. Because that's who we are. And so that's what we are about.
New Generation says they can't promise that nothing will ever happen there, but they will always promise transparency.
Well, in less than a week, 3 people died in Lawrence County from violent crime. The latest shooting victim, 26-year-old Jim Quez Smith. He was found dead around 9 Tuesday morning on Kingsby and Telfair Street. According to the GBI, Smith was shot in the chest and died less than an hour later at a hospital. Portia Flanders is Smith's cousin. She says his death doesn't just impact their family, but the whole community.
What is it going to take for the violence to stop? How many more innocent lives have to be lost in order for people to understand violence is not the answer?
I just don't feel comfortable walking outside my door knowing somebody passed away right there.
The GBI asks if you have any information on the case to call the Dublin Police Department at 478-277-5023. That number again, 478-277-5023.
6:36, the GBI is investigating the death of the former mayor of Gray, Stephen Tingen. Monroe County Sheriff Brad Freeman says that he asked him to look into the death after the mayor shot himself while deputies served a search warrant at his home earlier in Forsyth last Thursday. Freeman says at the time, Tingen was free on a $10,000 bond on charges tied to improper actions with a child. The sheriff says about a half dozen deputies showed up to serve a search warrant at Tingen's home. After they announced themselves at the front door, he refused to open up. They went around to the back to enter and found Tingen had shot himself. The GBI will turn over the final investigation to the district attorney.
Well, Bluebird workers are expected to vote today and tomorrow on whether to join the United Steelworkers Union. More than 2,400 people work there, making it Peach County's largest employer. Workers tell us they have complaints about health, safety, and pay. The company denies many of those complaints, and a spokeswoman sent us a statement that said in part, quote, "We do not believe that Bluebird is better served by injecting a labor union into our relationship with employees."
Getting into your state news, Georgia is moving forward in the state's fight against human trafficking with a new tool for survivors. Governor Brian Kemp and First Lady Marty Kemp were there for the announcement of a new partnership to provide mental health services for trafficking survivors. The organization, Rescuing Hope, will provide services while the Georgia Sheriff's Association and health provider CareSource are providing funding. They will open a building to help survivors get back on their feet. Marty Kemp, you know, she is a longtime advocate in the prevention of human trafficking. She says human trafficking victims tell them the biggest priority for their recovery is mental health care.
Well, the father of former University of Georgia football player Devin Willock filed a $40 million lawsuit for the crash that killed him and UGA staff member Chandler LaCroix. Dave Willock claims there was a lack of oversight by football team officials and employees. The lawsuit says UGA had, quote, negligent entrustment of a vehicle to Chandler LaCroix and the negligent hiring, supervision, training, and retention of Chandler LaCroix and other agents and employees of the association. Willock's attorneys say prospective football recruits were at an Athens strip club the night of the crash and that LaCroix was served alcohol at UGA events while assigned to drive recruits and families around. Police records show LaCroix's blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit and she was driving 104 miles an hour before the crash. Well, today the federal public health emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic officially ends. Among other things, it means the government will no longer send out free COVID-19 tests. On the Georgia Public Health website, you can still find information about getting COVID tests and vaccines. As of now, they'll continue to offer those services. The Department of Public Health said they'll still administer vaccines, treatment, and tests at no cost. Your insurance will be billed as normal. Pharmacies like CVS and hospitals like Atrium Health Navicent will still provide medicines and treatments as long as they're available. Dr. Sandy Duke with Atrium Health Navicent says they'll work with clinics to provide vaccines.
We offer it through our children's care services downtown, as well as through our Live Well teammate clinic. And then we offer it to inpatients that happen to be in the facility who perhaps aren't up to date on their vaccines.
Duke says people can still be sick with COVID and to get tested if you believe you've been around someone with COVID symptoms. Make sure you talk with your physician about what COVID vaccines you qualify for.
The Peach County School District's junior ROTC program is about to sail off into the sunset. Peach County Schools' James Lassiter says there are two main reasons for dropping Navy JROTC. First, Lassiter says it's hard to find instructors. It took over a year and a half to find their latest one. Lassiter also says JROTC enrollment numbers dropped. He says a graduating class typically includes 25 to 30 members, but this semester they only had 4 students finish up the program.
It's hard closing a program. This is not the first program I've had to close due to low numbers and just the excitement not there, because for some people I know it's needed. But again, we've got to make sure we're doing right by our businesses, all our stakeholders, that we're using our money the best way we can.
Lassiter says that it's not the end of the program forever. He says the school system could apply for a different military program like the Air Force's JROTC since Robins Air Force Base is nearby.
Well, it is Thursday, which means it's time for Scene 13. Meet a Central Georgia local proving hard work pays off and it doesn't hurt to stay in tune with your dreams. Plus,
new missions are taking off at Robins. Get a look at the base's brand new plane and find out the new missions that will be taking off. But first, the time is now 6:41 here on this beautiful Thursday morning. Alex, I hear that you had a very special visit recently.
That's right. Yesterday, we were down at Central Fellowship Christian Academy in South Macon. We spoke to the fourth graders there. We talked about a lot of things: tornadoes, hurricanes, winter storms. They had a lot of great questions and even talked about the fronts, the high pressure, the low pressure, and all of those different weather features. So thanks to everybody down there at CFCA for having me down. Enjoyed speaking with the fourth graders there. All right, let's take a live look this morning at the current temperatures. 67 in Macon, 66 in Warner Robins, 69 down in Rochelle, 68 in Cordele, 67 in Macon, 66 in Monticello, and 64 to get your morning started in Sandersville. But the dew points, they are also up there, which means the humidity, you are going to feel it as you walk out the door this morning. And as before too long, you're going to need like little windshield wipers on your sunglasses because that's only going to increase as we get deeper into summer. The radar picture quiet this morning across central Georgia, but not quiet through the overnight hours. We did see a handful of showers able to make their way over into parts of Upson, Monroe, Crawford, down into Taylor and Macon counties, even one or two in Houston County before the morning was over. Back off to the west this morning, more showers and storms. In fact, even a severe thunderstorm just to the southeast of Dallas this morning. All of this indicative of the unsettled pattern we have in place over the southeast, being on the south side of the stationary front to the north. That means we're going to be looking at more scattered showers and storms through the course of the day ahead. So here we go with Future View by the noon hour. Temperatures upper 70s and low 80s across central Georgia. A couple scattered showers, maybe even a few isolated storms later tonight, but I would not at all be surprised to see one or two of those able to find their way, say, towards Perry, Warner Robins, Cochrane, or Dublin, with a couple rumbles of thunder even after the sunset hour tonight. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. And then once we get into tomorrow, we're going to be looking at a better rain chance for all of us here in central Georgia. There we are at 68 in Macon, 66 in Warner Robins tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, getting the activity started a bit early. Areas to the east getting in on the shower and storm action, and then up and down the Interstate 75 corridor by the time we get to Friday evening. If you have outdoor plans tomorrow night, I would keep a close eye on the radar. And just a reminder, getting into this time of year, if you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Just a couple days ago, we saw multiple instances of that lightning strikes outside of area of rainfall. So it doesn't mean it needs to be raining in your area to see lightning or to be struck by lightning. You can see that even if you are outside of that. Something to be mindful of here as we head into summertime. There we are on Saturday. Unsettled pattern continues with temperatures in the 80s for Saturday and even 90s in a few spots. It's going to be hot again on Mother's Day as well. There's the Mother's Day forecast there, about a 20% chance of scattered showers. So 80s the next few days, back into the 90s for the weekend, including on Mother's Day, a high temperature of 94. That will likely be our warmest temperature we've seen so far this year. Congratulations to all the graduates today at Middle Georgia State. 3 graduations today. There's the forecast into the 80s this afternoon. But yes, a warm stretch of days here in central Georgia. Plenty of humidity to go around. Best chance of rain comes tomorrow, 90s through the weekend.